So this is one of those moments where I want to use that audio from Ratatouille that starts out with the, "Yep, that's me. I bet you're wondering how I got here." Yeah, we had a few things to talk about today. Well, hello friends. I'm Mary Beth with At What Cost, where simple living and deep faith go hand in hand. Unless, of course, you have been here from the beginning and you remember the days when we would reclaim abundant living, or maybe we were learning how to apply God's truth to our everyday lives. If you remember those two references, then you are one of my OG subscribers, and you have seen my house completely full of stuff. You've watched me reduce down all of our items and simplify things and share with other people on how to simplify things. And we did all of those things through a Christian lens. But then something happened. My dad had passed away unexpectedly from the virus that shall not be named. And on that same day, my father-in-law had been released from the hospital after a long hospital stay. But that actually started a roller coaster ride of hospitalizations, specialists, uncertainty, and ultimately ended when he passed away in early March. In between those times, so between the end of September and March, we have had what I can only say is a ridiculous amount of both major and minor family crisis. And if you want to know more about some of those things, you can go back and look at two of the videos I published, which I will link in the description below. Now, I say all of that because over 2 years ago now, January of 2020, I started this YouTube channel. We had gone through some pretty dramatic life changes. I wanted to document that, and I really felt like the Lord was calling me to share our experience with others who may be going through the same thing. And if you go back through some of those videos, which if you do, cut me a little slack, because those were the days of filming with a GoPro Hero 5, terrible audio, a little bit of bad scripting. Those were the days filming in my master bedroom closet because it was the only quiet space in my home. Whew, dark days, friends. Those were dark days. Good days, but there's not very good lighting in there, so. But it has been a wonderful journey, and I have met very good friends along the way, and I've really enjoyed getting to know our community here. And if there's one thing that I learned throughout that process, it was how to declutter my home. I've learned the lessons. I've been through all of the different categories. We've talked about sentimental items. We've talked about paper clutter. Mildly, I still struggle with paper clutter, but ultimately the actual decluttering has not been what's difficult over the last 5 months to do. I've kind of described this to some of our friends, and I'm sure you can relate to this if you too have been in kind of the thunderdome of family grief. When you are thrown into the deep end, you start to learn how to tread water. And even though it's difficult, you can still do it. But when the waves keep coming, it becomes increasingly difficult to tread water. You get tired, you don't know up from down, you're not really sure how long this is gonna last, and the waves just keep coming. That has very much been the situation that our home and our family has been in over the last 5 months. I find these bursts of being able to get things done and this motivation to restart. I've had lots of plans, but I just couldn't actually pull it together. And let's not forget that typically I do all of this while filming and moving a camera around and coming up with a storyline and making it entertaining for you to watch, which, don't get me wrong, I very much enjoy. I really enjoy making YouTube videos. I don't, however, enjoy lately cleaning my house. That's been the problem. But I was reminded this morning when I sat down and opened my Bible and began looking at a few verses in Luke about a video that I made more than 2 years ago. I was talking about laundry and I was using a verse from Luke. And right there in kind of a big rush of epiphany, I remembered that a lot of these feelings are the feelings that I had 3 years ago when we started this process of simplifying our home and moving to a more minimalistic lifestyle. I was overwhelmed. I didn't want to do anything. I was tired. I was emotionally exhausted. I was anxious. I was kind of borderline depressed. All because I was not able to manage the inventory in our home and implement systems to control it. And really, we were just kind of drowning in our stuff. And so, of course, over the course of the next 3 years, we started decluttering our home. We got rid of things. We came up with systems that were easier to manage, even in the midst of a pandemic. But something has been different over the last several months. And it really hit me when I read the commentary for those verses. Let me share it with you. And these are actually the verses that I used in that very first YouTube video. So keep that in mind as I go through this verse and then read the commentary, because I feel like you too may have the light bulb moment that I had. So this is Luke 12, and we're going to start in verse 27. Consider the lilies, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. Yet I tell you, even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. And then in verse 32, fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Sell your possessions and give to the needy. Provide yourselves with money bags that do not grow old, with a treasure in heaven that does not fail, where there is no thief approaches and no moth destroys. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And listen to the commentary here out of my study Bible. Central to this verse is the contrast between earthly goods, which are perishable and a source of anxiety, and the treasures of the kingdom of God, which are a lasting source of peace. So it immediately became clear that I have totally allowed for the balance in our home to get completely overrun. And I don't have to tell you how quickly that happens. You know that as soon as you let your guard down and you stop doing regular maintenance, things start to creep back in. And at first that trickle is kind of slow. You know, a few piles here and there, stuff that you've put off to another day, that kind of like deferred decision that just sits there. But then you reach a tipping point where the stuff just keeps coming in and the piles keep getting bigger and they get more and more overwhelming and you just don't want to do it. And yes, while I totally agree that sometimes we just need to pick ourselves up by our bootstraps and get down to business whether we want to or not, I also know how difficult that really can be. And so just like I experienced the first time around with all of this decluttering, I need to depend less on my own ability to do this and fully depend on God to make these things happen in our home. The good news is I kind of already know how to do these things. And I am super excited to get back into a regular routine of videos with decluttering and Bible studying and all of the things so that we can get back on track with simplifying life and deepening our faith. Over the next few weeks, you are going to see a couple of like question and answer videos that are from a Facebook Live that I did with Dawn from The Minimal Mom. So be on the lookout for those. Thank you so much for those of you who have subscribed during this time that I have been away. I am really looking forward to getting to know you more over the next few months. And to all of those who stuck around during this time of uncertainty for me, just know how much I truly appreciate you. And I am so looking forward to being back in the game, like for real this time, like for real, for real. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Whew. Here's a lot longer than that first video. Yeah. And then there's this guy. So this is what you see. This is what I see.